Hi folks. I didn't mean to broadcast tonight. I was on this afternoon with David and I thought I explained this pretty well. But it would appear that people out there seem to think the claim of right is some sort of magical key. Alright, so let me explain a wee bit about the claim of right. Okay, the claim of right first came about in 1323 when the Declaration of Arbroath came back. In that particular version of the Scottish Constitution, then we had the right to dispose of the monarch and replace them with whoever it was that suited our needs, as the monarch was the government at the time. Fast forward to 1669 when the claim of right is written into law, and that is to give us the right to replace the monarch, which we had, and of course to replace the government. And what the claim of right 1889 says, folks, just so that you're clear on this, it says that the sovereign Scottish people have the right to claim, the right to the type of governance that suits their needs. Alright, now everybody seems to think this claim of right is something you can pull out the cupboard. Let me explain a wee bit about 21st century politics for you, those of you who are totally unaware. Right, in 21st century and 20th century politics, since devolution actually, the Scots have been able to exercise their claim of right twice. Each time an election cycle comes round. We've had the ability to choose the form of governance we like in Scotland via an election, and we have the right to choose the form of governance in a Westminster election, who we send down there to represent us. Alright, now, in 2014, the claim of right was in our hands to use it to get rid of one form of that governance, the one form that we don't want. Right, and the people voted against it. Now, the argument here is nothing to do with claim of right. The argument here is going to do with democracy. We already have the right to choose the sort of government that suits our needs. But this is the 21st century. We don't do these things by rocking up and saying, by the way, I'm a sovereign Scot, piss off. We do it via the ballot box. And that was the whole point of putting it through in 2018. Putting it through Westminster in 2018 to reiterate that the people have the choice of the type of governance. But the way we do these things is via democracy. We do it via democratic elections. We don't get together as a mob and say, there's 100 days here in court, by the way, get to fuck England. That's not how it's done. All this piss about the claim of right. You already exercise your claim of right every time there's a Westminster election and every time there's a Scottish election. And the Scottish election, then, because we chose devolution rather than independence, then we choose the type of governance we want in Holyrood. When there's a UK general election, we invest our sovereignty in the MPs that we elect and we send them to represent us in Westminster. Now, I explained this today. Plebiscite election, a Westminster plebiscite election, majority of MPs for pro-independence, they rock up at Westminster, they convene the Scottish Grand Committee, they suspend the Treaty of Union, and they rock up the road and they hold a constitutional convention. Now that's bringing together the three estates. I don't know how many times I've explained this. You bring together the councillors, you bring together the MSPs, and you bring together the MPs. That's our modern version of the three estates. Alright? And then they have a vote. Now, whether they vote to terminate the union or to put it to the people in a referendum, that's how it works. That's how it will be done. We live in a democracy. All this pish about salvo and claim of right and all that pish. You exercise your claim of right every time there's a bloody election. You exercised your claim of right in 2014. You exercised your claim of right again in 3 Westminster elections up to 2019. You exercised your claim of right in 2021 in the Scottish election. You get to choose the form of governments that you like. In 2014, you rejected getting rid of the form of government that you're complaining about now. This debate is about democracy. It's not about ancient acts. We get to exercise our claim of right. We do it every time there's an election. The mere fact that there's people in Scotland don't grasp that we're choosing our own form of government, and that includes the 2014 referendum when the majority of people in Scotland voted against taking back control to one government. So don't forget, folks, all these lunatics with their madness, you exercise your claim of right every time you go to the ballot box. It's how it's done in the 20th and the 21st century. We don't go chasing crowns round the place and replace them with somebody that we prefer. We don't go get the borough mob and chase after the MPs for the Scottish Parliament. These days are gone. We do it via democracy. And all this pish about the claim of right. The claim of right gives us the right to choose the type of governance that suits us best. Well, I'm afraid we do that every time there's an election. And we did it when there was a referendum in 2014 and the majority voted to keep two governments instead of one government. Now, the democratic argument is this time that the people of Scotland have changed their mind. There's a clear mandate, and what we have is the cuckoos in the nest and the Muppets next door trying to twist that mandate. But keep telling you, Nicola Sturgeon keeps telling you, the SNP keep telling you, me and David keep telling you, they will fold. Democracy will out. And anybody that thinks they don't get to exercise the claim of right is a fucking idiot. And once they stop going to the ballot box, because that's where you exercise your claim of right. The claim of right gives us the right to choose the form of government that suits us best. We made that choice in 2014 and the referendum. We chose to keep two governments. Next time the question comes around, maybe you'll exercise your claim of right a wee bit better. We seem to be exercising our claim of right really well in Westminster elections and in Holyrood elections. But when it comes to the big decision in 2014, you're shit yourself. You didn't want to exercise your democratic choice then, or your claim of right then. You handed it back to our MPs who carry our sovereignty. All right. So there you go for all you people screaming claim of right. The claim of right says we get to choose the form of government that suits us best. Well, we do that every time we have a bloody election, and we had a referendum in 2014 to see whether we wanted two governments or one. You've exercised your claim of right. Now the argument's about getting to exercise it again. Democratically, of course. I hope you enjoyed that. Share it around, especially for those that don't quite understand what the claim of right is. Or the act of salvo, for that matter.